of the things that that I so appreciate about her, for sure, was her grit and her resilience and her bravery, her ability to navigate situations that where women weren't invited, and to kick those doors down, but in a way that earned her respect and not enemies. And I truly admire her conviction. I truly admire her dedication to her family and her marriage, and her dedication to truth. And later in life becoming so famous for her dissents. And I think as women, one of my core missions is to encourage women to speak up and to make a scene and to advocate. And we're very much trained. I'm hoping to disrupt that, as you all are, to not ruffle any feathers and to not make a scene. And she became most famous for her dissents, where she disagreed. And I love that. My friend Alex was texting me right before this broadcast and reminded me that of all the justices, the Supreme Court justices that we've had, I think there were 114, only 6 were not white men and only 4 were women. And of course, RBG, one of the 4. And I think that something that really, I know, touched me and probably touches all of you is that despite pancreatic cancer, she really doggedly hung on, working out with her trainer, showing up because she believes so strongly in equity and equality for all. So one of the emails that we sent out about this, and I think, like, as much as I've always admired RBG and like Carly, she has been an icon for me for so long. There were still things until the documentary came out about her, and I was really diving into more research about her. I don't think I realized how many things we have to be thankful for that we can attribute to her. So Gina was saying, like, she Alexandra Franzen dropping the receipts in the chat. Thank you, Alex. I think that, like Gina was saying, she's old enough to remember before and after RBG's effect. I remember my mother telling me that she couldn't get a credit card. Like, if you have an Amex card, if you have a business account, you can thank Ruth Bader Ginsburg for that. My mother, who had a lot of money in savings at our local bank, could not get her own credit card without her husband, my father's name on it in the 80s, right? She supported gay marriage. She personally married people, same-sex marriages as an officiant, right? It is wild, right? That my mother, of course, this was the South, right? But in the 80s, my mother could not get her own credit card without my father's signature. And of course, she's so well known for supporting choice and a woman's right to choose, which is why, in addition to that, in addition to her fighting for equity in the workplace, right now, with what's happening with the election and Supreme Court nominations happening, now more than ever, we need to come together with a plan. So I would love today to be some time of sharing and a time of action. And I think that I read this quote. It was an article in the Daily Provincetown, the Daily Princetonian, and the author is Madeline Marr. And she wrote a beautiful article, tribute to RBG, but she said, and this kind of sums up my feeling, she was ambitious when women were supposed to be indifferent. She was intelligent when women were supposed to be dull. She was loud instead of quiet, contrarian instead of accommodating, bold instead of timid. There's a reason Justice Ginsburg is so often represented as a superhero for women. It felt like she fought for us. God, I'm gonna cry. Good Lord. These menopausal hormones, y'all. I'm on a roller coaster. Woo! Okay, I'm gonna get through this quote. I'm gonna use my boobs, my boobs emoji stick to fan thyself. Okay. Okay, all right. It felt like she fought for us. She did. Using the powers we think might be hidden inside of us as well. As we mourn her life and remember her legacy, I want to take a moment to thank her on behalf of all the women of my generation. Let her legacy carry us forward on the march to equality. Jeez Louise, I'm not going to make it through this memorial. And so here we are. That's right, Susie. Susie said she was also one of the very few Jewish Supreme Court justices, only 8, and only 2 were Jewish. That is true. Oh, y'all crying too. All right, we're all crying together. But do you have boob emojis? So much cry. I also think that, let's hear what Carly has to say. She also helped people with disabilities. Say more about that. Say more. She really, I think that also in her memory, as we move forward, right? The oldest of us and the youngest of us. So the youngest of us here probably would be Carly, who has an excused absence from school to contribute. And the oldest of us, I don't know how old everybody is. But we have a role to play in carrying this torch. She literally has passed us the baton. And my question is, are you willing to take the baton and keep running? Or are you going to wait for other people to take the baton? I think you showing up today and investing your time is showing us that you want to take the baton. Maybe you don't know how. We're going to talk about how. She protected the rights of people with disabilities. Thank you, Carly. Alexandra says, I also really admire how she formed a deep friendship with fellow female Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. Even when these two women did not completely agree on various issues, they had a respectful and beautiful friendship and found ways to work together. I do think that is very important as well. I have been guilty of blasting people who think differently than I do. And when I think of RBG, I do think of someone who was able to dissent, like that quote talked about her contrarian nature, but she was able to do it in a way that had so much dignity. And I think we all have our way. But I think that it's important to honor like her really special ability to do that. I love that, Alex. Dissent with dignity. I feel very dignified with my RBG pearl necklace on. When I take it off later, y'all might see some F-bombs flying, but right now I'll be a little dignified. All right, so I have some ideas for you. I'm going to do the dreaded screen share. and I would love to show you. You're all going to get a copy of this, but I want to talk about this, and I would love to hear your thoughts as we go through it. So we've put together what we're calling a feminist action plan. And we're going to send it to you. I hope you print it out. I hope you post it. I hope you share it with your friends. But I do believe that the way that we mobilize now, the way that we take the baton and run with it is so important. So obviously, if you're old enough to vote, so you're going to want to make sure and check that your voter registration is valid. You're going to want to make sure that you vote early. How many of you have already voted? I would love to talk about this. So we have early voting here in Indiana. And so the polls are open here. And I am actually going to go before the lines open on Friday. So those of you who have been in my world for a while know that Friday is what I call Fun Friday. So my kickoff of Fun Friday will be voting. Elisa says, I voted from Australia by mail 10 days ago. Latondra says, I have my absentee ballot. Hi, Amber. I have to coach myself. If RBG can have a close friendship with a conservative male, I can at least try. Bridget says, I'm voting next week. I'm voting early and in person in New York, making calls. Awesome. Alexandra Mather, mail-in ballot. Okay. Susie says, I got my absentee ballot yesterday, but I'm having trouble sending it in. All right, we got to fix that. Alexander Franzen got hers in Hawaii. Okay. All right, awesome. So, oh, you held a fundraiser last night to elect only Black women to Washington State Senate. Fabulous. Okay. Lindsay Smith, I'm voting on election day. Lindsay, where do you live? Now, listen, there's part of me that loves the hype of election day. So there's part of me that wants to go on election day and experience that, but I really would just rather, vote early. And speaking of voting early, what are the numbers now? Is it 8.5 million people have voted early compared to, like, let's say 600,000 in the 2016 election? Alexander Franzen says, do you remember the last election we found out that Trump won while we were in London? Oh my gosh, you're right. Oh my God. I'd forgotten that's where we were when we found out. Oh. Okay, so Valerie's going with her son, over 9 million. Thank you, Amanda. I've got to think, what do you guys think about that? So I've got to believe that with 9 million people voting early, don't y'all think that those are people who are going to vote against Trump? I'm hopeful. Oh my gosh, Bridget, we're trying to help my great-grandmother, 96 years old, to vote. Amazing. And then we had a very sad, dreary tea party. I think I've blocked this out, Alex. Were we really in London at a tea party? I don't remember this. Yes, but there's so much voter suppression activities going on. Oh, were we on that was that? Oh, for God's sake. Okay. I do not remember finding out that Trump won when we were on that trip. I have blocked it out. I have blocked it out. Okay. So Lindsay says, I got my mom. I was on the Queen Mary too. Okay. Got my mom to register to vote this past year. Awesome, Lindsay. There was a huge turnout. Hi, Ned. There was a huge turnout in Texas for in-person voting yesterday. Maybe it'll turn blue. Oprah and her team were calling many Texas voters. I shared to my IG stories. Oprah always shows up. She always shows up to help with the vote and to get the vote out. I hope it's effective this year. All right, let's go back. All right, so we're all in agreement here. I think if you're showing up to an RBG tribute, you're a voter. But make sure that you remind at least 5 people to vote. So some of you have already said, like, I'm gonna make sure my grandma votes. I'm gonna make sure my mom votes. My kids are definitely voting. I had a conversation actually with Ryan last night. There's a big, there's a huge contingency among the Gen Zers who want to vote independent. And I do believe I successfully convinced him that that was a throwaway vote. And that is not a thing to do. So I think that something to really consider. It may be a waste of air to try to talk someone who plans on voting for Trump to not vote for Trump. I think we can make a lot of headway with independent voters that, like, this is not the election to do that. Okay, this is not, like, I don't care what your feelings are about our 2-party system and all those things, and like, great, you're like, I understand all of that, and you can work on that after this election. So vote.org to double check that you're registered to vote. And I'm asking you to make a list of people that you'll remind. So these might be people like Valerie was sharing that her mom was saying, oh, she never got into politics. I have plenty of family members like that. So perhaps make a list of people who tend to be too busy. I don't get into politics. I might vote independent. Like, really pick out some people to remind to vote. And then we'll talk about getting educated. I want to see what you guys are saying. Right. Mallory, you said it beautifully. Voting independent marginalizes the reality of who's impacted by the winner. And I think presenting it that way to my child was very effective. Yeah, Gina says, I've got to work on my Gen Z relatives to not vote independent. Right. I very much, I mean, my daughter Cora, who is 20, is a much more practical thinker than my son. And so she was very much like, I'm not excited about this Biden vote, but there's no comparison, right? There's no, like, she understands that it would be a throwaway vote. And it took a little more convincing for my son, who tends to be a little contrarian, those of you who know my Ryan stories. Bridget says, I saw someone on Twitter who said they want to deliver pizzas to the people in line to vote. I actually did this in 2016. And I do think that that's an amazing idea and plan. So, I mean, it could be pizzas, it could be donuts, it could be coffee, like, depending on the time of day. That actually, I forgot all about that, Bridget. We should do that as a company, Mallory. We should really make a plan. I would love to do that here in Evansville. Elisa says, yeah, please vote. Australians don't think we vote because it's not obligatory. I say I love choice, so choose to use your right. Yes. Donuts. Yeah. Donut Bank donuts. Okay. There's a Pole's Pizza. I think that might be the website that I used last time. But I think we need to do it. Donut, forget to vote. Alex, I love you. You can donut there too. Well, I do enjoy Parlor Donuts. However, I do believe it's a conservative company that I don't have firsthand knowledge of this. I have secondhand knowledge of LGBTQ employees not feeling valued. I'll just say it that way. So I would prefer not to give money there. Delivering food to voters is a great idea. Just please remember COVID protections. Yes. Thank you, Kathleen. Okay. All right. So we're already in agreement. We're all voting. When you get this, make sure you write down the at least five people that you're going to encourage to vote. And then I really appreciated this section that we put together. Like, do you know the names of your local senators? Do you know the names of all the Supreme Court justices? Get up to speed. And there's a website here, Ballotpedia, so that you can find out who represents you. And you can also visit On the Issues to find out any politician's stance on immigration, women's reproductive rights, LGBTQI plus rights, and more. So I do think it's very important that RBG was about equity for everyone. And so, yes, I'm a feminist, and being a feminist means equality between the sexes, but we also want to make sure that we are inclusive of everyone. So check that out. Also, you were invited to contribute to the organization She Should Run. So this is an organization, it's a nonpartisan organization that helps women run for office and get elected. And in 2016, when I held one of my dinner parties, it was supposed to be a celebration of our first female president. It turned into something like this, a real rally. And I donated the proceeds from that dinner party partially to She Should Run, and the other proceeds went to a female candidate named Mona Doss. And Mona was a participant at the dinner. And at that dinner party, I asked the women who were present, and I'm going to ask you the same thing, what's one big goal, wildly improbable goal, meaning a wig, a goal that isn't impossible, but it might be improbable in your mind, but it's so big, you're not going to say it could never happen, but it would be a real, what my friend Leah calls a moonshot. And Mona Doss stood up and said that she wanted to run. So Mona owns like a mortgage brokerage company. And she stood up and said, I want to run for Washington State Senate. And we donated to her campaign, and she lost. First, she ran for Congress, I think, and she lost. And then she ran for Senate and she won. And so do not underestimate how your dollars can impact female candidates' lives and their ability to win. And also, don't underestimate your own goals and being willing to say out loud what's something big that you want to go for. So let me ask you, can you put in the, hi Tina, I forgot you were there. Yes, awesome. So can you put in the chat something that you personally, something that's a big, wildly improbable goal that you want to go for in your own life? Maybe even in honor of RBG, and maybe even dialing up some of the qualities you so admire about her that are absolutely present within you. You spot it, you got it. So I would love to hear what those are. I'll tell you that mine is finishing and getting published the Bold book. So Bold, if you don't know, is my BEAR methodology for girls. Girls on average start dieting at age 8. And so I'm really committed to bringing this anti-diet philosophy to girls as young as possible. And so a huge goal of mine is to to finish that and get that out there. We have programs out there. We have a Bold Girl magazine out there, but I want to get the book done. But how about you? What's something that's a big wig of yours? And remember, Mona stood up at that dinner and said she was really nervous about it. Like, hey, I think I want to run for public office. Maybe that's something that you want to do too. Linda says, do my renegade community building full time, either in the next few years or down the road. Renegade community building. I like the sound of that. Alex says, host monthly fundraisers and raise 100K for social justice causes and mental health causes in 12 months, 34K so far. Amazing. And launch my new secret project. Do I know about your new secret project? Is that one that I know about, or is this a secret? Carly says, to be a Supreme Court justice when I grow up. Listen, Carly, I see it. That's like dunzo. Let's do it, Carly. Go, Carly. You speak it. Let's make it happen. Also, Carly, we're going to be filming some stuff for Bold, and I need to interview you if you're up for that. Tina says, share my upcoming full-time travel to instill confidence in others. Upcoming full-time travel? Do you mean like you're going to be living out of a suitcase, Tina? Oh my goodness. Yes, Class B. What? For a year? Oh my God, this is amazing. You guys is not inclusive. You booberries. I'm like always working on the language that I use. And I find myself saying things, y'all is inclusive, booberries is inclusive. You guys, we got to remove that. Valerie says, using 2 of your methods for my writers. Awesome. Lindsay says, how do you say that? Yints? The Pittsburgh inclusive language? Blueberries comes in all genders. It does. It does. All right. I'm going to go back to my screen share. I want to keep hearing whatever your wigs are. And so then obviously we want to help use our skills to help women rise higher. So if you're a an example, you're a public speaking expert, donate some time to help a female politician prep for speeches, media appearances, debates. You're a stylist, donate a session. Okay, let's talk about this, because female politicians are judged so much more harshly, as we know, than male politicians. And I was talking about this, I meant to talk about it yesterday when I was talking about the University for Life Coach Training, which is a new life coach school that I have launched. And it's centered around diversity and inclusion training for coaches. But one of the examples I meant to use and I forgot to use is something as simple as, and this speaks to female politicians and donating your time or services in some way to help them. But Kamala Harris, during the debate with Mike Pence, first of all, can we all say she handled herself amazingly well? I'm speaking. However, there were plenty of us white women thinking, whether we were saying it or not, but some people were saying it, like, man, I wish she had just like gone after him. And there was a really compelling article that came out that was like, hey, as a Black woman watching that, I know exactly what was happening there. She was doing that dance that Black women in particular, or women of color, have to do, where it's like, be good, but not too good, you know, and don't come off as the angry Black woman trope. And so it really hit me right between the eyes, like, whoa, all of us as women have probably felt that, where it's like, oh, don't be too smart, don't show them up, our male counterparts. Kamala Harris was and is under so much scrutiny to be good but not too good, smart but not too smart, forceful but not too pushy. And when you think about like Hillary Clinton being criticized for her wardrobe and her hairstyle or whatever, her makeup that day, male politicians don't have to deal with that. So the more we can use our gifts to help these female politicians like not have to spend too much of their mental capacity worrying about that kind of stuff and showing up to be brilliant, the better. Oh, Elisa wants to do a TED Talk. Awesome. Hi, Helen. Helen wants to create and use a platform for better mental health care. Oh, wow, this is awesome. Justice for parity of care for mental and physical well-being. I'm so sorry. Her sister died in a mental health setting. Oh, justice for Claire. That really hits me. That's an amazing, amazing mission, Helen. Carly says, RBG said she felt like a kindergarten teacher when she started the Supreme Court. That is true. That is true. She did. She did say that. And it's wild. It is absolutely incredible to think about what female politicians deal with. And so if you have a skill that money and a skill that could help, do it. Do it, do it, do it. And so really brainstorm that. Like, what could you offer? Commit to being anti-racist. So if you're unfamiliar with what it means to be anti-racist, get educated. There was a town hall that I was part of with Rachel Rogers and Erica Hines and others. And you can watch it. We put the link to it. And there's also a pledge you can take that I think is super powerful. And it has led to my own company making a pledge to, 30% of our dollars being spent with Black owned businesses, as opposed to, like, sometimes when you're coming from a place of privilege, you're not even thinking about how you could be spending your money in other ways. And so even little things like where we print our notebooks and where we get our pens, and we're investigating all the ways where we could be giving our money to Black, Indigenous, people of color owned businesses. Okay. Here's one of my favorites, and we should talk about this. Compliment a woman or a girl on something other than her physical appearance. So while it's entirely fine to compliment someone like on their hair, their outfit, their jewelry, how they look that day, I love compliments. I'm sure you do too. But we must train ourselves to get into the habit of complimenting girls and women more regularly on other things. Their compassion, their creativity, their intellect, their humor, noticing things like, hey, you really went above and beyond in that team meeting, versus, hey, you look like you lost a few. I think it's important that girls hear that their value is not tied up in the external. I would love to know your thoughts about that and what you notice about that. This ties into my bold and my bear work, obviously, but it's a small intentional thing that can make a huge, huge difference, because you really never know, particularly where weight is concerned. I can't tell you how many of my clients might be struggling with an eating disorder or going through chemotherapy or some other ailment or tragedy, and people are like, you look amazing, strictly because they lost some weight. And I think it's important that we keep those kinds of comments to ourselves and compliment, you're glowing, you're so full of energy. I love those ideas. I saw you hold the door for her. thank you for your contributions that don't have anything necessarily to do with appearance. Susie says, one of my close friends who's a 57-year-old dad who has young girls was just talking to me about this morning. He's annoyed that people just comment on how cute his girls are rather than how bright or how talented they are. I was impressed. That's awesome. Right, not complimenting female toddlers and children on their clothing and outfit only. And listen, I sometimes struggle with this myself. So it's a recognition of how we've been trained, and a real dedication to changing how we engage with girls and women. And again, like, there's nothing wrong with, you know, saying like, hey, I love your hair that way, or that shade of lipstick looks great on you. Like, listen, it's fine to give compliments. Just make sure it's balanced, and make sure there's a real effort to let someone know that you see them, not just because of this. Alex says, I so agree. Imagine if we praised women and girls and ourselves for being kind, caring, smart, creative, and hardworking instead of being pretty or, oh, what a cute little bow on your head. Yeah. I tend to, if I do see a girl and I like what she's wearing or how she's done something, I make sure to lead with something else. And then I might say, and that is like a kick-ass t-shirt you've got on, or I really like those kicks. But it's not the totality of the compliment. And I do think it's important. I also think girls and women are so interesting. There's so much more. There's so much more to us than just what we're wearing or how we're appearing. Here's a great one. Do something that makes you feel uncomfortable. All right, so activism isn't comfortable. So if you think you're going to feel comfy cozy doing any of these things, then you're probably not doing enough. You really want to stretch outside your comfort zone. And that could mean a lot of different things. I was just talking to a client this morning who admittedly was someone, she said, I was someone who never talked politics, and she's with women all day, every day, female clients in person. And she said, you know, I was one of those people that would just keep politics out of it. And it's very uncomfortable for her, which she does now regularly, talk about politics and talk about advocating for others. And so it could mean for the first time standing up and saying what you really believe and what you really support. It could be posting something on social media. It could be standing up to a bully. It could be donating more to a cause than you normally would. Like, it's not convenient, right? We're like, I just mentioned us ordering notebooks. For one of my mastermind groups, we're having these custom printed like zip up portfolios made. And my team found 3 different options. And Bianca, my assistant, very smartly pointed out, like, this is the one that's owned by a Black woman, though. And it was more expensive, and not dramatically more expensive. And I was like, go with that one. I want to not comfortable. But that's what needs to happen, right? So there's lots of ways you can do something that makes you feel uncomfortable. Certainly most of the things on this list. It's not convenient to follow up with people and make sure they're voting. I'm sure y'all have a million things to do, but it's so important. And then the other thing that I wanted to say about this, and I totally want to hear your ideas, is make sure that you're doing things that make you feel powerful. So lately I'm talking a lot about high quality thoughts and behaviors versus low quality thoughts and behaviors, and making power moves over just busy work. And so it could mean a million different things about what makes you feel powerful. But moving your body regularly, eating food that powers you up, prioritizing your sleep and your self-care, setting boundaries to protect your mental health. So that could mean limiting social media time, not having your phone in the bedroom, or getting professional help, coaching, therapy, whatever it might be. And so you want to really be thinking about what in particular do you need to power you up, particularly during this election season, and particularly as you're carrying the baton for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And so, you know, for me, that definitely means consistently getting my workouts in for no other reason to feel strong. RBG did that for a reason, y'all. Like, she was a planking queen, right? And it wasn't because she was trying to look cute in a bikini. Why do y'all think she stuck with those workouts? Oh, Valerie says, I compliment every woman I encounter. I love being a day maker. Yay. Kelly says, that's so me, avoiding politics. I was a political science major. Me too, Kelly. I was a poli-sci major. Lindsay says, I really want to host an RBG workout fundraiser. Oh my God, do it. Lindsay, please do it. Please do it. That's like the best idea I've heard all day. I need to know the shade and brand of lipstick. All right, I'll tell you because I think that's important too. All right, so, and I specifically picked this one out for today. So this is Charlotte Tilbury. If you don't know about Charlotte Tilbury makeup, you're about to thank me. I'm obsessed with her makeup and brand. Her branding is so good. So, and this red is called So Maryland. So Maryland. That's what I've got on today. It's hard to find a good red that's not too, who was calling it a whore red? Was it my grandma? No. You're welcome. I will come, Lindsay. Send me your RBG workout fundraiser info. And let's see. Okay. All right. So what do you think about this list? So it's basically vote, follow up with 5 people to vote, use your particular skills and talents to help women who are trying to make it in politics, compliment girls and women on something other than appearance. And what was my last one? What did I just say? What did I just say? Oh, do things that make you feel powerful. I need everybody before we're done, I need you to commit to this pledge. So just say, I'm in. And that includes going for whatever the wildly improbable goal was that you claimed. I'm in. Awesome. Is there anything missing from our checklist that you think should be on there? I would love to hear it. Awesome. So what's going to happen next is we're going to obviously email out this replay and we'll send you the checklist, print it out. Hi, Susan Clark. Print it out, check it off, keep us posted on how it's going. I think that I'm full of hope for this election, but even beyond this election, we have to show up, we have to stand up, and we have to embody the qualities that we so love of RBG. We have to dissent, we have to be contrarian, we have to speak up, and we can do it with integrity. And that's what we're all about here. Yeah, this is a long game. You are absolutely right, Lisa. This is a long, long game. My aunt, who has marched in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, she's like, we're still showing up. We didn't think we'd still have to, but we're still showing up. This is a long game. Question from Bridget. Do you think Trump will leave peacefully? No, I do not. I do not believe that he will. I do not believe he's capable of that. I believe he is a malignant narcissist, and that is not in his makeup to accept defeat. Some women can haul him out. Now, I don't know what that would look like. What does that look like security-wise if a sitting president refuses to accept election results? Does like the Secret Service, I mean, I don't even know. Like, it's such a wild time we're in. Does anybody know?
I didn't get that. The internet isn't reachable.
Alexa's like, I don't know either. Did you hear that?
Sorry, I didn't get that. The internet isn't reachable.
She's like, she's still talking to me. Alexa is not switched on. I can't believe we're even saying these words. I know. I can't either. I don't know. I think.
Sorry, I didn't get that. The internet isn't reachable.
Y'all, this is the best part of any of my classes ever. I think they should check their pockets on the way out. The ghost of RBG will haunt him and spook him out of the White House. I think we may have to rely on that. Super paranormal hauntings. Oh my God. All right. So I'm going to leave you here today with hope. Yeah, hope and change is my motto, says Michelle. We all have the power within us to make a difference. And so whether you're sending pizzas to the voters in line or you're calling up your grandma to say, hey, you're going to vote, you need a ride, every little bit matters. And you have to take care of yourself in order to sustain the long game. So I am privileged and proud to be part of a community that wants to talk about these issues. And I hope you've enjoyed today, and I hope that the checklist is helpful. Please keep me posted on what you're doing. Of course, I'll be talking on social media about what I'm doing and emailing you. And please feel free to share the checklist with as many people in your audiences and your spheres of influence as possible, because it's go time. It's go time. Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day and week. And I will hopefully be toasting you and our country with election results that show sanity. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Carly. Bye.